One story of an amateur prospector is that of Jim Riff. Letters and photographs found in the archives of Death Valley National Park relate how Riff was lost and found. The Bullfrog Miner, a mining camp newspaper, reported that James Riff, a carpenter from Bullfrog, was the latest victim of Death Valley. One of Jim's friends wrote to Jim's sister and included photographs. He said that they had put together a group to go out and find the body, and that they found Jim where the X marks the spot. On the photograph, he noted the spot where James laid down and told his partner to go and bring help. The help came too late. He also wrote that Jim would often say, "I have prospected this long. I will make a stake or die trying." And he has made his word good, as he did in everything else he promised to do. They brought a casket out with him and buried Jim in the desert. But the friend continued the letter, explaining how Jim met his end. He said they found tracks leading to the body, and wrote that when his mind left him, as it does all who perish in the trackless sand, he got up and walked straight towards the melting sands of Death Valley. Losing your mind, delirium, delusion. These are all part of the lore of dying in the desert. As early as 1891, a reporter for the New York Sun wrote, "The dreams of water seem to become realities to the wanderer." More than one man has been found stripped naked and walking about on the burning sand, holding his clothing above his head. As rescuers approached, they were warned to be careful, for the water was deep. But is there any way to know what happens in those final moments of a desert death? In 1911, a body was found in the Coso Mountains, west of Death Valley. Somehow, Al Williams got lost. Next to him was his diary. Saturday, May 27th.
Headache, sick. Will probably die soon. Tuesday, May 30th. Very weak, hell of a headache. Very dizzy. Wednesday, May 31st. Can scarcely breathe. Water getting low. Thursday, June 1st. It won't be long till the end. Monday, June 5th. Vomit when I drink, legs sore. I stagger like a madman, feel drunk and dizzy. Thursday, June 8th. Am nearly blind, gnats eating me up. Friday, June 9th. This is surely hell on earth. Am so sick and dizzy. I can scarcely see this.
Williams' last 3 entries were only X's to show he was still alive. The men who found the body buried it where it lay, in a shallow grave. It seems that bleached bones, skeletons, and skulls have been used by writers, promoters, and the media to describe the desert's horrors. They're seen in serious articles about the terrors of the desert, and in humorous cartoons and postcards. And most recently, on a #1 selling t-shirt in Death Valley.
This is called Hike or Die. Our skeleton here represents what happens to you in the valley if you don't take enough water. This is one of our best-selling shirts here. People come in and they see it and they immediately fall in love with it because of the skeleton and his big hiking boots here. The truth here is that if you go in the desert hiking, you don't take enough water, somebody will find your bones. That's the truth.
My favorite one is the one with a car coming into Death Valley with a family and all dressed up, beautiful car, with the reverse picture of it coming out. And everyone is a skeleton, the car is trashed, and they still have smiles on their face.
But did people find actual human skeletons in Death Valley? Were there bleached bones and skulls? George Cook hauled freight by mule team in Death Valley in 1908. In 1960, he brought his old photographs to the National Park Service and was interviewed.
This picture here is Tommy Floss that posed in the valley in 1909 in August. You can see his canteen, and the coyotes and the kit foxes had eaten all up. They had been dead, the two boys. One of them was Emery Bodge, and they were about a half a mile apart when they found Tommy laying alongside of the trail. And he went on up to the Skidoo mines and asked them up there at the office if the boys had came back from Los Angeles. And they told him no, they hadn't seen anything of them. Well, he said, that's one of them I found down along the trail. And that was Tommy Floss that he found, because Emery was way off of the trail by a bush. I was at Lone Pine at that time. And when I came back, why, then I heard about the boys dying, because they were both good friends of mine.
And there are other bones, like those of Jimmy Dayton and his mules.
I think one of the early, better known stories about a death in the desert was Jimmy Dayton, who was a caretaker for the Greenland Ranch, as the Furnace Creek Ranch was called at that time. And in 1899, in July, he was going to go to Daggett to get supplies, which he had done quite often. And he hitched up his 6 mules and his dog, and he got in his wagon, and he was headed down roughly the West Side Road. And he was not feeling well, and he got sick. And between that and the heat, it just affected him. He put the brakes on his wagon and got off and curled up under a mesquite bush and then died. It was a terrible tragedy, not only because Jimmy Dayton died, and he was a very popular man, but also because his 6 mules, because he had put the brake on the wagon, perished too, although they struggled frantically to get away. The little dog was able to go to a nearby spring for water, but when they found him, he was half-starved, standing guard over his master who had died. The picture of his grave is kind of an icon, because when they found him, they just buried him there, and they put the mules on top of his grave. And so for a long time, you see pictures of this mound of dirt with the bones of these 6 mules scattered on it.